Welcome, dear friends, to the enchanting world of words, the Millennium Library. Here, memories take us back to warm nights where grandmothers and mothers wove the most wonderful tales. Our only wish now is for you to listen, to dive deep into the heart of the stories that shaped our minds and souls. We have embarked on this unique project, the Millennium Library, to gather for you a treasure trove of timeless novels and stories, and present them to you with voices full of warmth and sweetness. It is a legacy we are creating together between humanity and artificial intelligence to remain a testament to the power of words and the magic of storytelling throughout the ages. We hope you find in it what delights your souls and enriches your imagination. If this work touches your hearts, we would be delighted if you share it with your loved ones. And remember, your support lies in liking this segment and leaving your comments which illuminate our path. We are here to grow by you and with you. With sincere regards from the Millennium Library. Sahde Goala. Once a marriage was arranged between Sahde Goala and Princess Chandani, and on the wedding day, when it began to get dusk, Sahde Goala ordered the sun to stand still. How, said he, can the people see the wedding of a mighty man like myself in the dark? So, at his behest, the sun delayed its setting for an hour, and the great crowd which had assembled saw all the grand ceremonies. The next day, Sade and his bride set off home, and it took them 3 days to reach the place where he lived. Before they left, they had invited the princess's father to come and see them. Accordingly, a day or two later, he set out. But it took him 3 months to accomplish the distance which Sadegoala had traversed in 3 days. When the old Raja reached his son in law's house, they welcomed him, and washed his feet, and offered him refreshments. And when he had eaten, he asked his son in law to take him out for a stroll. So they went out, Sadegoala in front, and the old Raja following behind him. And as they walked, Sadegoala struck his foot against a stone, and the stone was shattered to pieces. When the Rajah saw this proof of his son in law's superhuman strength, he became alarmed for his daughter's safety. If Saadi ever lost his temper with her, he might clearly smash her to atoms. So he made up his mind that he could not leave her in such keeping. When he told his daughter what he had seen, she was as frightened as her father, and begged him to take her home. So they agreed to escape together some time when Sade Goala was out of the way. One morning, Sade Goala went out to watch his men working in the fields, and the old Raja and his daughter seized this opportunity to escape. Sade Goala had a sister named Lorokini, and she ran to the field to tell her brother that his wife was running away. Let her go, said Sade Goala. The old Raja traveled faster than his daughter and left her behind, and as she traveled along alone, Sade Goala made a flooded river flow across her path. It was quite unfordable, so the princess stood on the bank and sang. My mother gave me birth. My father gave me in marriage. If the water upstream would stand still, and the water downstream would flow away, Then I could go and live in my own home. But no such thing happened, and she had to go back to her husband's house. When she arrived, her mother in law gave her a large basket of cooked rice and a pot of relish, and told her to take them to the laborers in the field. Her mother in law helped her to lift the basket onto her head, and she set off. When she reached the field, she called to her sister in law, "Come, Lorokini, lift down from my head the basket of rice and the pot of relish." But Lorokini was angry with her for trying to run away and refused to help, singing, "I will not come. I will not lift down the basket. Prop it against a murab tree. I will not lift it down." Then Chandani Rani propped it against the trunk of a murab tree, and so set it on the ground. Then she sang to her husband, "Here, husband, is the lota of water. Here, husband, is the toothstick. Come and wash your hands. If you are angry with me, take me back to my father and mother." But Sahde Goala was plowing at the head of his men and paid no attention to her. Then she sang again, "700 laborers and 200 women laborers you are causing to die of thirst." But still Sahde Goala paid no attention. Then Chandani Rani got angry, and by leaning the basket against the murab tree managed to get it onto her head again and carried it home. And from that time murab trees grow slanting. Directly she had taken the rice and relish to the house, she set off again to run away to her mother. As before, Sahde Goala caused a flooded river to flow across her path, and as before, she sang, "My mother gave me birth. My father gave me in marriage. If the water upstream would stand still, and the water downstream would flow away, then I could go and live in my own home." And this time the water did stand still, and the water below all flowed away, and she crossed over. As she crossed, she said, "If I am really chaste, no one will be able to touch me." And as she reached the opposite bank, she saw a young man sitting waiting for her. His name was Buzamunda. He had been sitting waiting for her on the bank for days without moving. When he saw Chandani Rani mount the bank, he rose and said, "Come, I have been waiting for you. You are to be my mistress." "Fie, fie," answered she, "am I to belong to any dome or hari?" Buzamunda swore that she should be his. "If so, then follow a little behind me so as not to tread on my shadow." So they went on, the Rani in front and Buzamunda behind. Presently they came to a tamarind tree on which grew two enormous fruits. The Rani pointed to them, saying, "If I am to belong to you, you must pick me those fruits." So Buzamunda began to climb the tree, and as he climbed she prayed that the tree might grow and touch the sky. And in fact, as fast as Buzamunda climbed, so the tree grew, and he got no nearer to the fruit. Then the Shandini Rani picked up the weapons which he had laid on the ground and threw them away, one to the north and one to the south, one to the east and one to the west, and ran off as fast as she could. Buzamunda at first did not see her because his eyes were fixed on the tamarind fruit. But after she had gone a long way, he caught sight of her and came down as fast as he could and, gathering up his weapons, went in pursuit. But Shandani Rani had got a long start, and as she hurried along, she passed a thorn tree standing by the side of the road, and she called to it, "Thorn tree, Buzamunda is coming after me. Do your best to detain him for a little." As she spoke, it seemed as if a weight descended on the tree and swayed it to and fro, so that its branches swept the ground. And it answered her, "I will do like this to him." Then she went on and met a goat on the road, and she asked it to do its best to delay Buzamunda. And the goat pawed the ground and dug its horns into the earth, and said that it would do the same to Buzamunda. Then she went on and met a ram and made the same request. The ram charged a tree and butted it right over, and promised to treat Buzamunda in the same way. Afterwards she came to a bull, and the bull drove its horns into a bank and brought down a quantity of earth, and said that that was the way he would treat Buzamunda. Next she came to a buffalo, and the buffalo charged a bank of earth to show what he would do to Buzamunda. Then she came to an elephant, and the elephant trampled a clod of earth to dust, and said that he would treat Buzamunda so. Then she went on and saw a paddy bird feeding by the roadside, and she asked it to do its best to delay Buzamunda. The paddy bird drove its bill into the earth, and said that it would treat Buzamunda in the same way. Meanwhile, Buzamunda was in hot pursuit. When he came to the thorn tree, the tree swayed its branches and caught him with its thorns, but he cut down the tree and freed himself. He went on a little way and met the goat, which ran at him with its horns. But Buzamunda sang, "Do not fight with me, goat. I will cut off your legs and cut off your head, and take them to the shrine of Mahadeo." So saying, he killed the goat and cut off its head and tied it to his waist, and went on. Next the ram charged him, but he sang, "Do not fight with me, ram. I will cut off your legs and cut off your head, and take them to the shrine of Mahadeo." So saying, he killed the ram and took its head. Then in succession he was attacked by the bull and the buffalo and the elephant, but he killed them all and cut off their heads. Then he came to the paddy bird, which pretended to be busily engaged in picking up insects, and gradually worked its way nearer and nearer. Buzamunda let it get quite close, and then suddenly seized it and gave its neck a pull, which lengthened it out considerably. "Thank you," said the paddy bird, as he put it down. "Now I shall be able to catch all the fish in a pool without moving." Thereupon Buzamunda caught it again and gave its neck a jerk, and that is why paddy birds have necks shaped like a letter S. Buzamunda continued his pursuit and caught up Shandani Rani just as she was entering her father's house. He seized her by her hair and managed to cut off the edge of her cloth and pull off one of her golden anklets, and then had to let her go. He took up his abode at the ghat of a tank and began to kill every one who came down to the water. The citizens complained to the Rajah of the destruction he was causing, and the Rajah ordered some valiant man to be searched for, fit to do battle with the murderer. So they sent for a Berbanta giant, and the Raja promised to give him half his kingdom and his daughter in marriage if he could slay Buzamunda. So the Birbanta made ready for the fight and advanced brandishing his weapons against Buzamunda. 3 days and 3 nights they fought, and in the end the Birbanta was defeated and killed. Then the Raja ordered his subjects to find another champion, and a Birburi was found willing to undertake the fight in hope of the promised reward. And as he was being taken to the field of battle, his mother met him with a ladle full of curds and told him to do a war dance. And as he was dancing round, she threw the curds at him. He caught the whole of it on his shield, except one drop which fell on his thigh. From this, his mother foresaw that he would bleed to death in the fight. So she took some rice and ran on ahead, and again met her son, and told him to do the war dance and show how he was going to fight. And as he danced, his sword shivered to atoms. His mother said, "Is this the way in which you intended to fight? Of a surety you would have met your death." Then she made him gather together the pieces of his sword and cover them with a wet cloth, and in a few minutes the pieces joined together. Then she allowed him to go to the fight. When the battle began, the Birburi's mother kept calling out, "Well, Buzamunda, have you killed my son?" This enraged Buzamunda, and he kept running after the old woman to drive her away. And this gave the opportunity to the Birburi to get in a good blow. In this way they fought for 7 days and nights, and at the end Buzamunda was defeated and killed. Then the Raja gave half his kingdom to the Birburi and married him to his daughter Shandani Rani. After their marriage, they set out for their new home, and on the way they met Sahde Goala, who had come in search of his missing wife. "Halloa!" cried Sahde Goala. "Where are you taking my wife to?" "I know nothing about your wife," said the Berburi. "This is the Raja's daughter, whom I have married as a reward for killing Buzamunda. He has given me half his kingdom from Sursikar to the field of the cotton tree." Then Sade Goala told him to go his way. So the Birburi and the Rani went on, and Sade Goala caused a flooded river with the water flowing bank high to cross their path. As they waited on the bank, Sade Goala made the Birburi an offer that if he could carry the woman across the river without getting the sole of her foot wet, then she should belong to him, and if not, Sade Goala should take her. The Birburi agreed, and tried again to get the Rani across without wetting her. But the flood was too strong, so at last he gave in, and Sade Goala took her back with him to their former home. There they lived, and in the course of time, Shandani Rani bore a son, and she named him Donantori. And after the birth of their son, the family became so wealthy Don that the Hindus revered Donantori as a god. And so ends the story. The Raja's son and the merchant's son. Once upon a time, the son of a Raja and the son of a merchant were great friends. They neither of them had any taste for lessons, but would play truant from school and waste their time running about the town. The Raja was much vexed at his son's behavior. He wished him to grow up a worthy successor to himself, and with this object did all he could to break off his friendship with the merchant's son, as the two boys only led each other into mischief. But all his efforts failed, and at last he offered a reward of 100 rupees to anyone who could separate them. One of the Raja's concubines made up her mind to earn the reward, and one day she met the two boys as they were going out to bathe. The Raja's son was walking ahead, and the merchant's son a little way behind. The woman ran after the merchant's son and threw her arms round him, and putting her lips to his ear, pretended to whisper to him, and then ran away. When they met at the river, the prince asked the merchant's son what the woman had told him. His friend denied that she had said anything, but for all his protestations, the prince would not believe this. They quarreled about it for a long time, and at last the prince went home in a rage and shut himself up in his room and refused to eat or be comforted. His father sent to inquire what was the matter with him. And the prince replied that food should not pass his lips until the merchant's son had been put to death. Thereupon the Rajah sent for some soldiers and told them to devise some means of killing the merchant's son. So they bound the youth and showed him to the prince, and said that they would take him to the jungle and kill and bury him there. They then led him off, but on the road they caught a lamb, and when they got to the jungle they killed the lamb and steeped the clothes of the merchant's son in the blood, that they might have something to show to the prince, and then went back, leaving the boy in the jungle. They took the bloody cloth to the prince and told him to rise and eat. But when he saw the blood, all his old friendship revived, and he was filled with remorse and could not eat for sorrow. Then the Rajah told his soldiers to find out some friend to comfort the prince, and they told him that they would soon set things straight, and going off to the jungle, brought back the merchant's son and took him to the prince. And the two youths forgot their differences and were as friendly as before. Time passed, and one day the prince proposed to his friend that they should run away and seek their fortunes in the world. So they fixed a day and stole away without telling anyone, and as they had not taken any money, they soon had to look about for employment. They found work, and the arrangement their masters made with them was this: their wages were to be as much rice each day as would go on a leaf, and if they threw up their work, they were to forfeit one hand and one ear. On the other hand, if their masters discharged them, so long as they were willing to work for this wage, the master was to lose one hand and one ear. The merchant's son was cunning enough to turn this agreement to his advantage, for every day he brought a large lotus leaf to be filled with rice. This gave him more than he could eat, and he soon grew fat and flourishing. But the Rajah's son only took an ordinary sal leaf to his master, and the rice that he got on this was not enough to keep him alive. So he soon wasted away and died. Now the merchant's son had told his master that his name was Ujar. One day his master said, "Ujar, go and hoe that sugar cane and look sharp about it." So Ujar went, and instead of hoeing the ground, dug up all the sugar cane and piled it in a heap. When the master saw his fine crop destroyed, he was very angry, and called the villagers to punish Ujar. But when they questioned him, Ujar protested that he was bound to obey his master's orders. He had been ordered to hoe the sugar cane, not the ground, and he had done as he was told, and so they had to let him off. Another day, a Hindu neighbor came to Ujar's master and asked him to lend him his servant for a day. So Ujar went to the Hindu's house, and there was told to scrape and spin some hemp. But Ujar did not understand the Hindu language, and when he got the knife to scrape the hemp with, he proceeded to chop it all up into little pieces. When the Hindu saw what had happened, he was very angry and called in the neighbors. But Ujar protested that he had been told to cut the hemp and had done so, and so he got off. Ujar's master had an only child, and one day he told Ujar to take the child to a tank and give him a good washing. So Ujar took the child to a tank and there proceeded to dash the child against a stone in the way that washermen wash clothes. He knocked the child about until he knocked the life out of him, and then carefully washed him in the tank and brought the body home and put it on the bed. Next morning, the father was surprised not to hear the child running about, and going to look, found the dead body. The villagers assembled, but Ujar protested that his master had told him to wash the child thoroughly, and he had only obeyed orders. So they had to let him off again. After this, the master made up his mind to get rid of Ujar. But he was in a fix. He could not dismiss him, because of the agreement that if he did not continue to employ him so long as he was willing to serve for one leaf full of rice a day, he was to lose a hand and an ear. So he decided to kill him, but he was afraid to do so himself for fear of being found out. So he decided to send Ujar to his father in law's house and get them to do the job. He wrote a letter to his father in law asking him to kill the bearer directly he arrived, before many people knew of his coming. And this letter he gave to Ujar to deliver. On the way, however, Ujar had some misgivings, and he opened the letter and read it. Thereupon he tore it in pieces, and instead of it wrote a letter to his master's father in law, in which his master was made to say that Ujar was a most valuable servant, and they should give him their youngest daughter in marriage as soon as possible. The fraud was not found out, and directly Ujar arrived, he was married to the youngest daughter of his master's father in law. A few days later, the master went to see how his plan had worked, and was disgusted to find Ujar not only alive, but happily married. So he thought that he would entice him into the jungle and kill him there. With this object, he one day invited Ujar to come out hunting with him. But Ujar suspected what was up and took a hatchet with him. And directly they got to the jungle, he fell behind his master and cut him down with his hatchet, and then went home and told his wife's relations that his master had got tired of hunting and had gone back to his own home. No doubts were raised about his story, and he lived on happily with his wife till he died at a ripe old age. Conclusion of our journey. And so, we reach the conclusion of our journey for today, within the unending worlds of words and the never folding pages of knowledge. We have spent an enjoyable and beneficial time together within the embrace of Millennium Library, where voices meet tales and a new cultural legacy is forged. We hope you have enjoyed every moment and delved deeply into the dimensions of the story or novel we presented to you. Always remember that this grand edifice, Millennium Library, is the result of a unique collaboration between human creativity and the profound depth of artificial intelligence. Our goal is to enrich your ears and minds with the treasures of world literature and to make knowledge accessible to everyone, while preserving the ownership rights of Millennium Library for this distinctive production. Don't forget to follow us and activate the notification bell to receive all new content. And share this podcast with everyone around you, for knowledge is light, and together we illuminate the paths. Until we meet again in a future episode and a new literary adventure, may you be in the care and keeping of Allah, and within the realm of immortal words. Millennium Library, where tales are embodied, knowledge is narrated, and creativity is immortalized.